I want to get the latest on the significance of this, because this is, a series of trials that the former president wanted to attend and did personally, I believe, more than any of these other matters that have come up. I want to go to Guy Lewis, the former U.S. attorney, Tom Dupree, the former deputy assistant attorney general. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. But Tom, steer me through this process. The judge is going to decide, as he already had, to necessitate this case, whether it's going to get to the degree and the money that the New York State Attorney General wants, $370 million. But there are no victims here. There are no one who was punished or hurt by this. That seems odd to me. And I always tell people, regardless of what they think of Donald Trump, is this a bridge too far? I mean, what are the grounds of appeal, or is there in a matter like this, even for a former president?
Yeah, Neil, and that's always been one of the real peculiarities of this case, is that normally in a fraud case like this, you have some sort of defrauded victim who comes forward and says that what the defendant did, deprived me of my money and I lost all this money because of this fraud. We didn't have any of that in this case. Now, look, I mean, in full disclosure, it's not something the Attorney General needed to prove in order to make her case under New York law, but you would think it would be relevant when the judge is making his decision as to what sort of punishment to impose on the Trump organization in terms of, are they going to have to forfeit hundreds of millions of dollars? Is the former president going to be barred from doing business in New York? Again, the fact that none of these banks have come forward and said, hey, we're victims here, you would think that might play into the thinking in this judge's mind when he decides what the appropriate verdict is here.
So let me get your take on this, Guy. A lot of people have said, that this was a sort of a case precedent here, and it's being tested. A lot of New York area businessmen and women are looking at this closely, regardless, again, how they feel about the former president, saying to themselves, there but by the grace could go I. What do you make of that?
Boy, Neil, I think you're right. I think a lot of people are refreshing their iPhone news app right now, trying to see what the judge's decision is. And I agree 100% with Tom. If I'm a betting man, I bet you he's going to tee off on the ex-president. They have been adverse. They have been angry at each other. Trump has disobeyed, in his mind, in the judge's mind, his orders repeatedly. My bet, Neil, $100 to $150 million, and I'll bet you that he disbars him, at least in part, from certain business in New York City, maybe New York State.
So, Tom, back to you on that. What are Donald Trump's options with such a ruling?
Yeah, his main option here is to take the decision up on appeal and challenge it before the New York Appellate Division and then ultimately the Court of Appeals, which is the state's highest court. And look, we always knew going in that this trial probably wasn't going to end very well for the former president. The judge made no secret about his thinking on what the former president did. I mean, that was kind of maybe the least best kept secret in New York, is that this judge ultimately was preparing to drop the hammer on the Trump organization. So in that sense, the real battlefield has always been the Court of Appeals. So there will be a panel of judges that will review whatever the trial judge decides today. They will take a look at this. In many cases, they will apply kind of a blank slate de novo standard of review and make sure that the judge properly applied the law. And it's possible they'll either reverse the judgment entirely, or at a minimum, they might modify the sanction. They might say, well, $300 million or whatever this judge ultimately imposes is way too much, disbarring the president from doing business too much. And they might adjust the sanction a little bit and make it less harmful.
All right, gentlemen, if you can stay there, because I do want to get your take on one of the cases we're following closely, and it concerns that Georgia case right now, where Fani Willis was to appear on the witness stand again to explain her relationship with the lead prosecutor in that case. Steve Harrigan now has more from Atlanta. Steve.
Neil, a surprise. No Fani Willis today. Instead, the court got her father, John Floyd. Floyd came on really to try and give the timeline of when possibly that relationship began between Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. He was asked repeatedly about when he met Nathan Wade. Here's that.
Did you ever meet Mr. Wade in the year 2019?
Absolutely not.
How about in the year 2020?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever see Mr. Wade at Miss Willis's Fulton County house in the year 2021?
Never.
That timeline is so key because both sides trying to establish whether or not that relationship began before or after Nathan Wade was hired. Also, their finances under scrutiny as well. Wade said that when they traveled together, he paid with his card. Willis reimbursed him with cash with no receipts. That's something the judge is going to have to buy if he fails to deliver a disqualification verdict, something he has said is a real possibility. Neil, back to you.
Steve, thank you for that. Back to Guy Lewis and Tom Dupree. Guy, let's say the judge rules that Fani Willis herself had some obvious conflicts here, but wants the case to continue. Can it continue?
I think it can continue in some fashion or form, but certainly at the very least, Trump wins a huge, huge victory here if that occurs. I mean, look where we are, Neil. The prosecutor is being prosecuted. I mean, we're not talking about Trump or any of the allegations in the indictment. We're talking about the prosecutor's affair with another lawyer on the case, whether their credibility, whether they're telling the truth. I got to tell you, I've never seen anything like it, and I think Tom would agree with me. In my view, this is a prosecutor's worst nightmare.
Would it mean, in your view, Tom, that the case would have to be dropped? They would have to start from scratch? What do you think, if it came to that?
Well, first, I totally agree 100%. This is a prosecutor's worst nightmare. I mean, the idea of the prosecutor sitting in the witness chair answering these questions of just such an extraordinarily personal nature is just stunning. I mean, we never have seen anything like this. If the judge ultimately disqualifies Willis, look, I agree. It's going to have to go back to square one. They're going to have to bring in a new prosecutor, kind of a whole new prosecution team. I'm not confident the judge is going to throw the case out entirely. I don't think he's prepared to go that far. But what I could see him doing is basically disqualifying Willis, disqualifying Wade, and saying, look, we got to get new leadership in at the helm of this prosecution. This is obviously an incredibly important prosecution for our nation, for history. We got to get it right. We have to have people in charge of this thing whose integrity and legitimacy is unquestioned. And the judge may say, I just don't have confidence that Willis and Wade can continue to do this job.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you both on this. There is a separate case. This is the one where the judges said we can proceed March 25th. We're looking into that because that would start jury selection. And this really concerns a lot of the payments that were made, hush money payments to a former porn star. You've heard a good deal about that. But that's part of the multiple cases that the former president is facing. And they're beginning to back up like planes at LaGuardia right now. So that is a bit of a problem. In the meantime, I was noticing as these fine gentlemen were speaking, we've got a 10-year that is still well over 4.30%. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look at Bitcoin. It's at $52,000 a coin. We report, for some of you, you might want to ride after this.